video, I'm going to show you a few things you can do to speed up your computer. So no matter what kind of computer you have, there's a couple of steps you can take to make your computer run more quickly. And always there's the question of how far do you go with it? Because at a certain point, you can't make silk out of a sow's ear, right? Or I don't know, you know. There's some other phrase, I can't remember it. Anyhow, we'll stick with that one, right? At a certain point, your computer is your computer, and it's only going to go so fast. And at a certain point, you just need to get a new computer as opposed to trying to speed up your current computer. But there are several steps we could take to speed up your current computer. And as we get farther down this list, these steps down here are going to start costing you money. But before then, there's a lot of stuff you could do. So the first thing you'll want to do is remove unused programs. So we're going to clean out, I call this kind of decrapifying your computer. We're going to clean out a lot of junk from your computer and just get rid of things that you aren't using. So how do you do that? We could go to Start and we could type in Remove Software and see what comes up. And we have Change or Remove a Program. And we also have Uninstall a Program. So I'm going to click Change or Remove a Program. And that brings me into this screen where I can see all of the software that's installed on my computer. And so what I want to do is I want to go through this list. I just want to make sure that everything I have on my computer is stuff I need and want. And generally speaking, if you don't understand what something is, it's best just to leave it. So like, you know, Adobe Air, maybe I don't know what that is. So I could go to Google and I could search for Adobe Air. And then I could go to that link and I could read, well, that tells me that, but Adobe Air Wiki. And I could read about what Adobe Air is, and I could decide whether or not I want to keep that on my computer. So that's the first thing you do. If I decided I didn't want that on my computer, I could choose Uninstall. A lot of the stuff you do want, like AMD right there, that might have something to do with my motherboard or my monitor, or here's stuff for my graphics card. Microsoft stuff, generally speaking, you want to leave it. But anyhow, first step here is to remove unused programs. So that's the first thing you're going to do. And the next thing you want to do is you want to clean out your startup folder. So when you click on Start and then All Programs in Microsoft, you'll have something called a startup folder. And when I open that startup folder, it'll show you what programs start when you start your computer. And right now I don't have any in there, which is good. But let's say I always used Google Chrome. I could take Google Chrome and let's see if I could drag it in there. Google Chrome, start. Well, all right, Google Chrome, right click it and unpin, new incognito window. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm going to go to Google Chrome and I'm going to right click that and see what choices I have. And I have Pin to Start menu, so that's kind of cool. So now when I click Start, it's going to show up on my Start menu. And then can I drag this to All Programs? It's not going to let me. When I'm in All Programs, if I open up Google Chrome, can I then drag this down to my Startup? And it's not going to let me do that either. So I don't know what I'm talking about. You'll need to provide administrator permission to move this folder. Okay, continue. There we go. So eventually I was able to get it in there, Google Chrome. So you can now see Google Chrome is no longer there. It's now down here. And, that's just the icon. But what that tells it, so I could drag it back to Google Chrome. It's kind of weird. I guess I need to have that folder open. Google Chrome, go in there. Underneath it? Yes, continue. There we go. Is it underneath it? Now it's in there. That's just weird. I haven't done that in a long time. All right, so when I drag something and I put it into the startup, there we go. Now, every time my computer starts, Google Chrome is going to start, right? So if I had a lot of things in startup there, then that's going to slow down how quickly my computer starts. And not only that, I'm going to have a lot of things running already. And the more things I have running, the more my computer's resources are being taken up. So you want to make sure that you have as little running as possible so that you're not using up your computer's resources unnecessarily. Let me say that again. You want to make sure that you have as little running as possible so that you don't use up your computer's resources unnecessarily. And one of the ways that you make sure you have as little running as possible is that you get everything out of startup that is in there. So I'm just going to right click that and choose delete. Are you sure you want to delete that? Yeah, fine. And now my start folder is empty. Did it go back to here? No, it didn't. So I could right click that and I could choose delete from that, which is fine because I have it right here. So now my start folder is empty, and that's great because I don't want things starting unnecessarily. That's not the end of the story, however. If you go down to this little bar right there, so you click start, right into that little search area, type msconfig, which is this word right here, msconfig, you can launch this kind of secretive, I know a whole lot about computers, management panel thing here, and it brings up this thing called system configuration, msconfig, system configuration. And I have another startup folder here where I could go in and I could look to see what is all the stuff that just automatically starts and runs in the background when I turn my computer on. And I've got a bunch of different things in here. I've got QuickTime. I don't need that starting every time my computer starts. Actually, for these videos, I think I do, so I'm going to leave it. Apple Push, heck no, get rid of that. Logitech camera software, sure. Adobe Reader and Acrobat Manager, no, I don't need that. Antivirus, yes. Intel delayed launcher, well, I could Google it if I want to, but it's Intel, I'm going to leave it. Icon utility from Alcor Micro Corp. I don't know what that is. I'm going to leave it. Google Update, yeah, I want that to update my Google Chrome and things like that. HD audio background process, Realtek audio manager, sure, we'll leave that. But I got rid of one thing, Apple Push, because I don't really have anything here that's really, super Apple centric or whatever, and I absolutely need that. So I'm going to click apply, and it's going to give me this warning when I click OK, or not. It used to give a warning that said, you've changed settings, and when I restart my computer, it might show me that warning. You've changed settings, right? So let me show you msconfig warning after reboot, right? And it'll show me this image right here. You have used a system configuration utility to make changes to the way Windows starts. Blah, 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 blah. Just click don't show this again, and then you won't see that anymore. But that's how you change startup at that level. You go to msconfig, and you just look to see what's starting, and you disable it. In the past, with computers I wasn't too concerned about, where I didn't have to keep security tight, I would just disable all and then just figure whatever needed to start would start. But really, you should go through and understand each thing that you disable. And so just an interesting point to point out here. Why would companies want, why would Apple want QuickTime to already be running in the background? They might want that because then when I go to use QuickTime, it doesn't take that 8 seconds to load, which would make me think, gosh, what's up with Apple? They're totally slow. When I go to launch QuickTime, since it's already running in the background, I just don't see it. It would just instantly pop up. And it's like, wow, look at how fast Apple products run, right? Well, that's because it's already running in the background and taking up your resources. So the main thing here is we're limiting what is being run. We're limiting as much as we can what is being run on the computer so that we don't take up unnecessary resources. That's the main thing. So we've done these 3 things. Now we need to run disk cleanup. So if I go again down here to start, just type in disk cleanup. There we go, and there it is. And you might be like, how do I remember all this stuff? Well, maybe you're taking notes on it, and that's one way. But you can also go to start all programs, and then we have accessories. And under accessories, we have system tools. And inside system tools, we got a lot of system tools which could help with different stuff, including disk cleanup. So there's disk cleanup right there. And what disk cleanup is going to do when I run it, which I'm not going to do right now, well, heck, why not? Let's see what happens. And maybe it won't take too long. But what it will do is it will, look for stuff that I no longer need. So you'll say, do you want to empty your trash can? Do you want to empty these temporary folders? So here's all the different options it gives me. You want to get rid of downloaded program files, temporary internet files, 48 megabytes. Offline web pages, yeah, let's get rid of that too. Let's get rid of everything. 11.8 gigabytes in the recycle bin. Let's get rid of everything in the recycle bin. Let's get rid of that thumbnail, sure, right? And then just bam. And are you sure you want to get rid of those files? No, I'm not, so I'm going to cancel. But that would clean up 12 gigabytes for my hard drive. And what we want to do, if I go to start and just click on documents or your name or whatever, And then when I look in Windows Explorer at my hard drive and right-click my hard drive and choose Properties, I want to make sure that for my primary hard drive, I'm only using about half of it or less. For the hard drive that my operating system is on, I don't want to completely fill it up because the more it's filled up, the slower it's going to run. So if I get over the halfway mark, I want to start thinking about getting another hard drive and storing a lot of my data on the second hard drive, and that'll help my computer run quickly. But this one, I have a ton of free space, that magenta color, so I don't really need to worry at this point about that 11.8 gigabytes in my trash can. So that was a running disk cleanup. And then after you've done that, if you do have a hard disk drive, not a solid state drive, another one of the tools under Accessories, System Tools, is Disk Defragmenter. And when we talk about storage systems, we're going to learn exactly what the disk defragmenter does and what defragmentation and fragmentation are. But this is yet another thing you could do to speed up your computers. After you've done all those things up above, you could defrag your hard drive. The next thing you want to do is just make sure you don't have viruses and things like that. So make sure you're running antivirus software. On my computer, I am running Kaspersky. I don't know what the heck that is, Russian antivirus software or something. But I'm running Kaspersky Internet Security 2013. I'm not saying that right. So you just make sure you don't have viruses and do a full system virus scan. So what that would look like is I would go into my virus software and I would look for, scan right here and make sure I do a full system scan. I also want to make sure I'm updating my virus deaths, and that should happen automatically under settings, right, where I should have something about, general settings, enable protection, select action automatically, auto run, file, antivirus, mal, web, updates. Here we go. Application updates, run mode automatically, update source default. So it's automatically updating my virus definitions. And when we talk about software and system software, I think that's the chapter in which we'll learn why it's important to update your virus definitions. But it is very important. So make sure you scan for viruses. Keep virus software up to date. And then you have another thing you could do to increase the performance of your computer, and you want to adjust it for best performance. So to adjust for best performance, I right-click my computer and choose Properties, or I could just choose Adjust for Best. Nope, that doesn't do it. I thought it might. Get rid of that. Right-click my computer, choose Properties, and then in here, I've got Performance Information and Tools, Advanced System Settings, System Protection, Remote Settings, Device Manager. And let's go to Performance and see what comes up. So bring up Performance, and I've got Adjust Visual Effects. That's what the phrase I was looking for. So if I typed in Adjust Visual Effects, Adjust Visual, Adjust Optimize, no, it doesn't even come up that way, which is interesting. So this is the only way to get to it. Adjust Visual Effects, and then it launches Performance Options. I wonder if Performance Options would bring it up. Performance Options. Yeah, no, Power Options. Okay. All right, Performance Options. And we get into Performance Options, and I can choose Adjust for Best Performance. And so when I do that, it's going to just take away some of the fancy schmancy, ooh, look at how pretty it is, and it's going to make it just sort of industrial looking. But really what that's doing is saying that the computer no longer needs to process having fancy graphics up here on the bar or whatever. And you can see I've already adjusted mine for best performance. This just looks pretty plain Jane. And, that takes down some of the load on your computer's resources. It's less your computer needs to do. So that's the next thing to do, is just adjust for best performance. And then this stuff down here starts to cost you a little money. And so we already talked about getting a second hard disk drive for storage if your first one is over half capacity. You could get a solid state drive if you currently have hard disk drives, and that's really going to improve the speed of your computer. So just look for solid state drive, SSD, shop for SSD on Google, and you can start to see the prices of different solid state drives, 256 gigabytes for $237 at this point. And all you'll need to do is plug that into your computer, plug the power in, plug in the SATA, and hopefully that will be it. Sometimes there's more, but that's how you learn about computers. If that isn't it, then you have to start doing a little research online and figure out what you need to do. So get an SSD is the next thing you do to speed up your computer. You could also upgrade your RAM, which we already saw how to do. You could upgrade your video card, so that would just be as simple as like again, going to Google Shopping and type in video card, and you know, see what kind of video cards are there. And the more expensive is going to be the better. And you want to know what kind of connection you're doing it. So it'd be helpful for you to look at, like, you know, what's your model number, and just search for, you know, video cards for your model number, and make sure that you're buying the right video card for the right computer. So you could upgrade your video card, and then to speed up your computer, and I recently had to do this, you could upgrade your internet connection. And those are all things you could do to speed up your computer. The last thing I'm going to point out, and I think I'll just type this out so you can see it, is that there is performance info, which is interesting to look at. And if you go to Start and right-click your computer and choose Properties, and then go in here to you know, Performance Information and Tools, and then over here they've got these numbers, and who the hell knows what these numbers mean? Microsoft's been doing that for several years, and if you read what do these numbers mean, you know, it really hasn't taken off in the way they're envisioning. And I think I have a smoking system, and they only gave me a 5.4. So I don't know what the heck's up with that. And, you know, anyhow, but this is the interesting thing right here. View and print detailed performance and system information. So if I click that, wow, here it gives me some specs on my computer, which is really nice and handy. So, you know, it tells me my RAM, it tells me my graphics card, it tells me my CPU and the clock speed, you know, and then I see that again down here. It tells me my word size, you know, tells me my storage, you know, my disks. And so it's kind of cool stuff that you could see for performance information about your computer. All right, so that's a little bit about speeding up your computer and some steps you could take right now to make your computer run faster.